Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise belongs to Allah, Lord of all that exists. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Blessings and peace upon the Master of the Messengers Muhammad, his family and followers, and all his companions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I only saw a message from Yusuf about an hour ago that I need to say some words here whilst we're getting on here with the collection. So I was thought about what I should say, and so I was just thinking about the. Oh, don't see this. I'm too tired to stand up right now, so I'll sit down. Yeah. I was just thinking about the what has stood out for me this Ramadan in my own reading of the Quran, and one of the key themes that has stood out for me personally as I have been going through the message of the Quran. Is the issue of let's call it responsibility or accountability, yeah? Individual responsibility and accountability. You could even say autonomy. What's autonomy? Autonomy means that the if you like the independence of the individual. Meaning, what am I talking about? So let's take an example in Surah Al-Qiyamah, which would have been recited here probably yesterday. Yeah. That Allah says, إِلَى رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمُسْتَقَرُ يَا كَلَّا لَا وَزَرْ إِلَى رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمُسْتَقَرُ. On that day, on the Day of Judgment, there is no refuge whatsoever. In front of your Lord, on that day, is the stopping place. Mustaqar. Mustaqar is the place where, regardless of where everyone has been going, it's like everyone will come to a screeching halt in front of Allah. Yeah, that's the image that I have. Okay, إِلَى رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمُسْتَقَرُ يُنَبَّأُ الْإِنسَانُ يَوْمَئِذٍ بِمَا قَدَّمَ وَأَخَّرَ. That the human being will then be told what they prioritized, what they put forward, and what they delayed. Okay, بِمَا قَدَّمَ وَأَخَّرَ. What they prioritized and what they delayed. Oftentimes in our life, all of the good things that we could have done or should have done, we have thought of. It has occurred to us, but we do taqdeem, right? We do takhir, yeah. We delay, right? And all of the other, everything else, of course, yeah. All the other things we think in our mind, a lot has happened. By the time we have lived in our mind, so much has taken place. All that matters is then what have we done taqdeem of, that we have sent forward, prioritized, and what have we done takhir of, that we have actually delayed. يُنَبَّأُ الْإِنسَانُ يَوْمَئِذٍ بِمَا قَدَّمَ وَأَخَّرَ. And then this is the key thing. بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا. The human being is truly a witness against himself. And this is also mentioned elsewhere in the Quran. It's as if Allah is saying, it's as if He doesn't need to take you into account or ask you any questions, because you know your reality. If you think or look deeply enough, you know your reality. وَلَوْ أَلْقَى مَعَاذِيرًا. Despite the excuses that he or she sends, okay, or produces for themselves. So we make for ourselves a lot of excuses. And when I was talking about this issue around responsibility, accountability, etc., there are so many sections in the Quran when Allah is describing the Day of Judgment, what He is describing is people blaming each other for their own state. People on the Day of Judgment will be blaming each other for their state. And sometimes He talks about the people who were in communities relatively weak, blaming those who were relatively strong and in power. That is their fault. Right? It's their fault that we are now in this situation, and calling upon them to now relieve them of the punishment that they are about to face. We also know from verses that we're going to recite today and elsewhere in the Quran that a person will be prepared to sacrifice every single person that they know in order to save themselves on the Day of Judgment. So then on that day, this independence, this autonomy, this individuality, if you like, comes very clear. No one cares about anyone else anymore. No one cares about anyone else. You only care about yourself. How can you save yourself? How can you save yourself? Now, in this life, therefore, why am I saying all of this? To me, anyway, I'm just really reflecting to myself about what I have been thinking. In this life, based on this initial set of verses that I sort of mentioned, as well as this general theme in the Quran, is that we have just got to stop making excuses for ourselves, because we're very good at it. And we've got to stop blaming each other or using each other as the reason as to why we're not making the progress that we should be making. Right? This is something we do very commonly. If we explore ourselves deeply and fully, right? We use each other as the excuse or as the reason as to why we are not making the progress to Allah that we should be making, right? It could be sometimes subconsciously, right? A man is too busy trying to provide and do this and that and stressing over his family affairs and whatnot, wealth and children, right? The usual distractions. And so it just becomes too busy with these things. That becomes in his own mind or heart, becomes his excuse as to why now he cannot, for example, attend the masjid, or he can't engage in a bit more learning, or he can't actually develop or progress himself in some way, because he's too busy. Too busy with what? Too busy doing the things that he needs to do for his family, children, blah, 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 whatever, right? Everyone is too busy. We're all busy. We all have our commitments and everything else. But we will keep going and going and going, keep making excuses for ourselves until the day when there is no more excuses. There's no more excuses. So it's very important that we don't, in this life, this is the time to be a bit tougher on yourself. Be tough on yourself. Don't make excuses for yourself, and sort of wallow in self-pity and just produce all these reasons as to why you cannot do A, B, C or D. Because on that day, no person, not even your mother, not your father, not your sibling, right? Not children, spouse, no one. Okay, no one is going to come and save you, or me. Okay, وَكُلُّهُمْ آتِيهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَرْدًا. Every single one of them on the Day of Judgment will come as an individual. So what I'm trying to say here is protect your autonomy. Protect your individual. Make sure that you make your life decisions about what you are doing in this life and why you are doing it. Make sure you go vertical first. You look up first. And you make that the basis of everything in your life. And subsequently, and what in a way that flows from that connection, you then relate to all of the others to whom you owe your duties, right? And to whom you need to look after, whatever you need to do. But not in such a way that ever compromises this connection. Not in such a way that ever compromises this connection, because that will be the biggest source of regret. If you like, this is the test of life. This is the test of life. The test of life is, can you keep this connection here strong, regardless of all the other connections you may have? And the one who is able to keep this strong and all of these strong at the same time, then that person has succeeded. But the one who does everything for everybody else and uses everybody else as the reason as to why they couldn't do this and couldn't do that, and then this suddenly fades away and weakens, that person is lost. That person is lost, and you will not be able to blame anyone else on the Day of Judgment. It will all be within ourselves. So this has been a month of introspection. It has been a month, hopefully, of us coming closer to Allah. And I believe that, personally, for me anyway, in the last days and nights of Ramadan, as it is, we're in this period when we're seeking Laylatul Qadr. Laylatul Qadr, as well as being the night of power, is also the night of decree or destiny. Personally, I often find myself reflecting a lot in terms of my decisions, right? And I kind of make big decisions about the next year in this time. It seems like a good time to do it when it's getting sealed up. Yeah, make resolutions. Yeah, make Ramadan resolutions, if you want to put it that way. That there's certain things that you were doing before that you shouldn't have been doing, you're not going to do anymore. There's certain things where you're lagging behind. You have been making excuse for yourself for years as to why you haven't done such and such a thing. Now you're going to make progress in that area. You're going to be strong and determined and have the resolve, okay, to really maintain and increase your progress, inshallah, subsequent to Ramadan. And not make excuses for yourself. Anyway, I think we're done now, so that's all I wanted to say. May Allah accept from us. And of course, I have no share in any. I don't deserve anything really from any of the contribution here. MashaAllah, these guys have been doing an amazing job. Some will think, hey, Iqbal just slipped in at the last minute to do four rakahs, so you can claim his due, but no, I'm completely non-deserving. So MashaAllah, it's an honor for me really to be among. I know some of these guys for a long time since we were kids. And so it's really nice to be amongst them. It's my honor. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. Jazakumullah khairan. All right. Inshallah, let's begin.